Right? That should be the motivation, that you want to change something in the universe, some problem that you just have to fix because you've seen the consequences on that problem, how people are affected by the problem, whatever it is, right?
Even it has to be, it has to be just changing things in your ecosystem or your environment, but you come for something. It's not only for money, it's not enough.
Yeah. And define the problem, the issue is very important, right? In different cities, in different countries, they have different uniqueness of the problem. So in your accelerator, Eric, what you provide, the mentor and or the training to help them to define the problem, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And the most successful entrepreneurs are those who are solving a problem that they have themselves, right? So they would ultimately become the users of the product. They're building a product that they themselves want to use. If you look at 37 Signals and hear some of the podcasts, one of the founders was recently interviewed by Tim Ferriss, and he says that, well, they don't even have metrics to track profitability of the products. Like, they don't have a goal. They don't set it. So this is very rare, and I don't necessarily recommend this, but he's like, yeah, we don't even have a goal for how much money we want to make with these products. We're building products that we want to use ourselves.
Okay.
And just because they do that and they have that as a driving force, they ultimately end up building products that are so good that they would use it themselves, and then other people in a similar situation also want to use those.
Okay. How about Yen?
I think my answer to what you need for an ecosystem is absolute collaboration.
Collaboration.
All these different organizations pointing in the same direction. Otherwise things go wrong. You've got great startups, but no support systems, no accelerators, no incubators. Maybe the programs that exist aren't relevant by life stage. So you're trying to develop an idea and they all want to help you grow your sales. Or you're trying to grow your sales and they want to help you write a business plan. So that isn't joined up. The involvement of government is key, and if government is deterring activities that will support entrepreneurs, maybe through tax, maybe through
that's an incentive.
Maybe through visas, maybe through the difficulty of attracting international talent or funding. These are things that government do wrong, perhaps. But you join these things up, the role of government, the role of corporates, the role of startups, the role of investors, and then you've got an efficient ecosystem.
All the stakeholders to be working together.
Absolute collaboration.
Okay.
So that was my answer. So I just say now.
So that's your line, but you have to find a new line.
My position is great because I don't belong to one accelerator or one private accelerator. So I was more in the middle, and I want everybody to work together, so to be inclusive, as you say. And the private-public partnership is key. I think that's the same at Euro Technology, because our resources everywhere, amounts of resources everywhere, different from the government and from a private VC, of course, but because the goal is different. But government are the most, I would say, neutral policy of growth, employment, okay, or solving some modern city issues. But they are not here to actually make money and decide which startups should succeed or which startups should not. So I think it's very good to keep the balance between private sector and public sector, and especially to make them work together and co-develop tools with maybe money from the government, but used wisely by the private sector to work directly in contact with the startup.
I'm convinced that all of you already operate very successful accelerator, incubator, or even the local alliances. But actually, I know that all of you have worked way beyond the local accelerator environment or ecosystem, become the cross-border, cross-nation network of alliances. Could you tell me about what is what we can expect from not just the local ecosystem, but a cross-nation accelerator network for the startups to get from that network?
For us, we collaborate with many spaces, many geographies in the world, from Taiwan to Silicon Valley, New York, Dubai, Shanghai, Belo Horizonte in Brazil.
Okay.
So we have many agreements with local places like this.
Okay.
And what we want to do is in and out. So
Inbound, outbound.
inbound, outbound. So what we'd like to do is to strengthen our ecosystem by giving opportunities internationally for our companies. But on the other way, we'd like to attract some foreign companies in our country.
Soft landing
Soft landing, we are doing this, but What we want to do is we would like to diversify the profiles of entrepreneurs coming to our incubator. So if some people coming from outside, they come with a new culture, so it can have impact on our local people and vice versa. It's very important for us. I like the way that everybody is like in a music band. So everybody should. And I like this idea because I believe in this. The problem is sometimes people, for example, governments try to make the job of people who are supposed to do another job. So it's like, you prepare the ground, and it's the job of the government to do this. They prepare the ground, and somebody come and plant the seed, and somebody is coming and put water on the seed, and blah blah blah. And this is the story. And this is why when we go international, we try also to get know-how from the local people that we work with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about Henrik? You are operating a accelerator network. No, sorry, that's Yan. You have accelerator network. Sorry, Yan. What is the accelerator network operate in Europe, in UK, and also in different countries?
It's a very big question, mate. I haven't got time for me to answer. Okay, so
we have plenty of time now.
In terms of what we do internationally as part of this globalization program, it's adapted for each country because each country has different cultural needs, has different starting points. So that changes on a per country basis, whether we're working in Taiwan or we're working in Armenia or we're working in Iran or Lebanon or whichever market we're in. But one of the things that's interesting is there are a lot of common issues for those entrepreneurs. So the accelerators, the good accelerators who are doing it for a reason, rather than just because it's fun and it's a nice. The good accelerators who are trying to make an impact, the investors who are looking for companies to back, are looking for common traits. They're looking for hard-working teams, smart teams who found product market fit, who developed some sales, have developed a way to scale that sales, are solving a real problem, have built out a great team of advisors, people who've done it before. There's common themes, and you can be in any of those countries, and those themes are consistent. From the accelerators, from the support programs, from the investors. So I think you can worry too much as an entrepreneur trying to go international about it's different, it's a different market. But the fundamentals from an investment perspective remain the same.
Any focus, sector focus you want?
Tech. That's
Tech.
Pretty broad, isn't it? We're digitally enabled as well, so we'll look at software as well as hardware.
Digital. Okay. How about Henrik? What in your program? What do you expect the other countries, the startups, to go into the United States, to San Francisco?
So in this sort of globalization movement, and we talk a lot about so think global but start local, right? And I think I met with a couple of entrepreneurs earlier today that were like very eager to go to the US. And they might have started here, or they were started in France, but they wanted to go to the US. And I think it's become a bit too hyped to go global too quickly. And I think that is a tremendous threat to a lot of startups that you think you can conquer all these different markets simultaneously. So my recommendation oftentimes is to start really make sure you conquer your home market first before you
home market first.
Yeah, before you start thinking expansion, depending on the type of business, right? Some businesses are just born global and can truly address multiple markets at the same time. But typically, you need to, in the scaling process, to set up service organizations, customer service, and be able to actually properly take care of customers in all these different countries. And you don't do that by just start running ad campaigns everywhere simultaneously, and you end up doing a poor job on that front. And I think that's a big mistake. So really making sure that you nail your home market first, and know that you have 100% product market fit. You have fit as well, right? Mm-hmm. So not making that typical .com mistake that we're losing a couple dollars on every customer, but we'll make it up on volume. Right? Typical mistake that just doesn't work. So make sure you nail small.
How do you get something to say?
Yes. Our young people are not ever, but prepare them to go to these kind of accelerators. Well, I don't accelerate people, so I prepare my entrepreneurs, whatever, to go and join these kind of accelerators. So to make it global. So I prepare them to be ready to be accelerators and to be successful accelerators. And one thing is now, for example, 40 people, and they are already 24 hours companies. Because they have sales and marketing in the US, they have
Time zone.
Yeah, time zone. Yeah, they have the developers in France. This is what I try to keep actually, and they have developments. If they do hardware, they produce in China or in Taiwan. So it's small companies, but already international.
Yeah, the 24 hours operations.
Yeah.
But now this problem for the startups. Now, every country have accelerator program, and every accelerator are open up for other countries' startups to soft landing. But how they made a choice to different accelerator program. There's too many choices. They're shopping around and going around. Well, they finally they have to find a place to settle down. Home market, not every country that is joining that startup, the program, or accelerator program. But I think
fun and food.
Fun and food.
Which is France, right?
So there are happy hours out there.
There's too many things. Yeah, it's too many reasons why they choose a country versus another one. For a long time, it has been around access to capital, and it was people were willing to go to US. Now I'm refraining my people to go to US directly. It's too dangerous for them. So I want them to go. We have a big market, which is Europe. Actually, it's a big market. The problem is different languages, different currencies, different culture. US, one language, one currency, one
huge market. Yeah.
Many regulations, but it's a huge market with low barriers to enter. But actually, more people coming, so competition is high. So what I want my company to do is to be able to prepare before and then go and choose. Usually they choose either United States first, or the second is Asia, and in Asia they go to China.
Okay. How about home? What do you think?
Well, it depends also the profile of the startup. I'm seeing some French small startup, maybe a niche industry, so they need maybe more time really to market. We'll choose incubator accelerator according to time to survive and develop well their product. Like big corporate to them, they can directly go to the next step, maybe to the US. But to come back to La French Tech, what we do is, as you say, is preparing for French entrepreneurs, for instance. Now the knowledge of the industry here, you know basically who is leading position in which, we know what the car, we know where the, for French arrival in Taipei, in Taiwan, if you talk to us, we directly know, you can refer him directly to the good program, etc. In the other way around as well, for any Taiwanese partner who want to go to France or Europe, French Tech is in France, we have many partners over there, it's like a one-stop shop to know this is what I am and what I need, who I need to talk to, and who is going to help me. So it's really preparing the ground and accelerate maybe the immersion within an ecosystem with the investors, with the corporate partner or manufacturers, etc. So how accelerator depends on the profile of the startup, and some accelerator don't take private equity, which is reluctant in the beginning of that. There are a few in Taiwan. Some accelerator we do be held for 2 weeks. So what to consider, but I think there.
No, I absolutely concur.
Henry.
And it very much depends on the startup and also what stage they're at. And then, what market you're trying to access. Capital-intensive startup and to apply tapping to Silicon Valley. Autonomous Pittsburgh, a choice. Media, fashion, New York City, Miami. And hardware, Shenzhen, IoT, AI, Taiwan, Taipei, maybe, right?
Thank you.
Take London, right? I mean, it really depends, right? And
there's another choice, Bangkok. Very good.
Absolutely, right? So it depends on your industry, but also if you have an excellent team operating in a specific location and you have access to an accelerator there, and this is where your home market is, then maybe that's a really good thing. So you don't have to move the team. Like moving the whole team is a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
Super risky, right? So some people tend to do that and allocate, and then you go to Silicon Valley. After 2 weeks, all your engineers have gotten offers that you can't match, and you're done, right? That's reality for a lot of companies, and you underestimate the risk of doing
That's
it.
a risk. Yeah.
It's a huge risk.
Huge risk.
So yeah, think about, and maybe pick an specific accelerator that better. But also really watch out, because there are a lot of, there's been this explosion of accelerator programs all over the world now. Right? We have thousands, literally, all over the world.
Okay.
And many of them are very poorly run.
Mhm.
Right? And
Just to have the name, yeah.
yeah, and because every, I mean, I know there's this this huge, government incentive in India, for example, that any universities that wants to run an accelerator incubator, they will get $1 million in incentive.
Subsidy,
So,
yeah.
yes, subsidies. So they all have accelerators. People in academia have no clue how to help startups, but they think they can by applying these super academics, and it just doesn't work. So the startups think they get the right, so the quality of those accelerators, and yeah, maybe you don't need to go for one of those high profile ones, but go for a vertical specific one that's relevant for your industry.
So we shouldn't just look at the name, it's an accelerator, or we should ignore the ranking. Should based on what we need to select the right accelerator. Ian, what do you think?
I would add to that, but being a little bit controversial, actually, I think there's a limit to what accelerators can do. We've delivered more accelerators in the UK than anybody else. We've delivered 30 plus programs. And there's a limit to what you can do in 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a limit to what you can do in 6 months, even with a bit of after support.
Right.
So I think there's a danger for entrepreneurs to think, I'll focus, I'll obsess on this accelerator, they will solve all of my problems. And the reality is, they will help you identify your problems sooner, they might help with some introductions, they might help with fast tracking your growth, that's all great stuff. But it shouldn't be overestimated that get into an accelerator that solves your problems, particularly internationally, when you're trying to expand into a new territory, because you've got 12 weeks of TLC, of love, and then it drops off a little bit.
Yeah.
So our recommendation to teams isn't to obsess about the type of accelerator, it's to focus on the customers, where their customers are, if they're expanding internationally, which means it's market-informed expansion, it's customer-driven.
Yeah.
Now when they land there because they've got a customer, and then they plug into an accelerator, or an incubator, or an organisation like
French Tech.
French Tech, thank you. But where there's people who know the local scene can then direct them. They've got a better chance of winning because they've got a business purpose to be there, not an entrepreneur's ego of I'm in this great accelerator. So I think the money piece, chasing investment, which used to be the case, money's commoditized now. Money you can raise anywhere for a good business. In the UK, each year, £1.5 billion goes into seed stage, 2 billion goes into Series A, and another 4 billion goes into Series B. 7.5 billion into early stage venture. There's no shortage of money anywhere. In most markets, good deals will find good investment. So moving to a different market just to access investment seems like a very strange thing to do to me. I would always say, go where the customers are, bring the support structure, and the investment will follow.
Great, Howdy.
It's brilliant because an acceleration program is 12 weeks, and it's only 12 weeks, 3 months in a 7 year, 7 years journey.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it takes like 6 to 7 years to make a company. Really, in fact.
Not only survive, but
6, 7 years to make a successful companies. I've seen it last 15 years. And people, the problem is when they look at WhatsApp, they think all the company will be like WhatsApp. So doing like selling to Facebook in less than 1 year, for
overnight success,
and blah blah blah. So everything is thinking about this. I'm gonna do this kind of company. But how many WhatsApp there is today, or there are today? Maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe. Most of the companies that will come to this game will take like 4, 5, 6 years journey to make something available and serious going on the market. So, and an acceleration program is only 3 months within these 7 years. So they have to they have to go to an accelerator 3 months, get something, do something with it on the market. Find customers. At the end of the day, they have to find customers and they have to sell something to someone. It's a company. It's not an association or an NGO. It's a company. They have to face customers. You were talking about this journey, and when they find the market fit, then it starts to scale. But they have to raise this point, and this is taking a long time to get there. So acceleration program is something that will accelerate you to get to reach this point. And it's not the final.
That turning point.
Yeah, it's a turning point. And maybe you have to do it many times, but as soon as you do it many times, you have to leave some shares. And it's costly.
Great. And it's very important that I just learned that accelerator program is not the only solution to help startups. There's a long journey to go. But through the long way to make a successful company, that I heard that I just learned from the Laurent's presentation, that I heard that it's not only the government, not only the investors, but not only the startup have to work very hard, but also large corporations play a very important role. I believe that in all your programs, a large corporation in different countries ultimately will take some role in the incubator program. How about what do you think that the large corporations should provide or play a more aggressive role to make the ecosystem more dynamic and they have a strong power to help?
I think in France, compared to other European countries, or big multinationals or big corporate have been among the first to really get an interest into startups because they're doing very strong R&D worldwide, and competition is more and more fierce. It's also always for in Asia, etc. for a while. So I say we need maybe more open innovation things and looking into startups. So big for now have their own incubator or pitch program, etc., etc.
They run their own.
They own their own program. The French has its own program. The Orange Telecom company has its
Orange,
etc. Not most is a postal French post company is very active in innovation, so they run etc. They all reach the same, all around the same problem. Even if they found a startup which has a solution, service, technology, whatever they need, will help their companies. They don't know how to use it. Should we invest in the company? Should we buy the company? Should we segment this company because we only need this part of the software? So it's very difficult, even if you find a startup with a good technology for the big corporate, how you are going to collaborate.
Yeah.
And we see more and more now consultants or people working in this field to once the matchmaking is done, the matchmaking sounds more difficult, but when it's done, and now how we work. With a startup, I just designed this new logo website 2 months ago. They don't want to give that away. They're very proud of it. They're happy and proud to work with a corporate. They don't want to sell out or. So I think, well, maybe I'll see your whole thing. But I think that's the principle. French company are very into startup, but how to work with them and make both sides benefit them.
How about that in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's complex, absolutely, right? Because this corporate DNA is sort of designed to eradicate and kill all these new ideas. Right? We talk about these corporate antibodies, like the immunal, like your immunal defense system, that will just very quickly kill any new ideas that could potentially cannibalize the existing business. So all these companies, large corporations, they could greatly benefit from working closer to startups. I've worked with companies like Intel and Twitter that called me up last year, and they're like, this director of Twitter, he's like, Henrik, please come and help turn my employees into entrepreneurs. I'm so frustrated that they're not more entrepreneurial, not more proactive, and I want them to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Right, so I work with a number of large organizations like Lego, Novo Nordisk in the pharmaceutical industry, launched in this book publishing company last year, Intel, Lego, like Twitter, some of these companies that all want entrepreneurial employees. But they typically, all these corporate incubation center, innovation labs, they suck, right? Because this corporate culture, the DNA of the mothership of the company just doesn't work. When they're going through this trough of sorrow that I described earlier, you need to be able to spin these companies out, allow them to operate autonomously, because if they have the same, if they're under the same sort of bureaucratic key performance indicator structure, they will just never make it, because they're not allowed to make quick decisions fast enough. So it's sort of going to kill all these.
It's funny, Henrik, because you're talking about large corporate companies like Twitter, Intel.
I know.
And these companies are seen as very innovative.
Well,
Intel
not so much. I mean,
But
Twitter's a great company, but already
Not
now
big, but it's a,
they've reached a point where they have.
So let's imagine if these people already have this kind of behavior.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Imagine the rest of the companies, like very traditional businesses,
Yeah.
existing since 100 years, doing like very industrial things. These people, it's like
Very hard to change the DNA.
very hard to change DNA.
So typically what I recommend is setting like a cultural wall and allow the new ventures to operate completely autonomously outside of the business. And maybe when they grow super large, you can try to spin them back in. But during that search customer discovery phase, they have to be allowed to operate outside the building, so they're not affected by the corporate ship. And if you can just, also on how I work with startups. So I've worked with a number of these large corporations that run open innovation projects. I did the lunch a couple of years ago. We invite startups from all over the world and help them address. This was related to like maker stuff. So they had an Intel Make It Wearable challenge where they're using the Edison chip.
to
their
chip,
different types
based on the
of
chip
wearable
technology.
devices. Yeah, exactly. So it's very complementary, and now they can work with some startups. They can see the latest trends, and they can potentially invest in those startups or acquire them. Right. So it's a great way for a large corporation to stay in tune with the latest tech trends and understand what's going on, and have a first right to invest in some of these companies. But what happens sometimes is then they buy them and insource them,
Especially in this
and
space,
then they kill all the innovation. Right.
They merge by the large corporation. They spin off, they leave, they left the company, they start a company, then finally they sell. They sold it back to the large corporation, right?
Absolutely.
It's also good, right?
And if you don't know why you do this company, then doing this kind of things for a company can be defocusing you. Because sometimes,
Defocusing you.
it can defocus
On the task.
Yeah, because if you go to many contests, then you're not focusing on your business. And it's a big problem.
Yeah.
So I have many of my companies going to contests to meet with big corporate companies, and they come and say, okay, I talked to this big company, they are interested. Okay, how much are they interested? Okay, how long will it take you? You have a run of 6 months with your money. How much time are you going to spend with these people? Okay, what is the return on these people on what you're doing? So you lost 3 months. So in 3 months, you're dead. No, it's true. No, it's true.
Absolutely.
So we have to be careful about
But
this.
from a company perspective, corporate
Don't care. They're here since 100 years. We're here for 6 months. So it's, we have to be very careful about the careful. We say, okay, you can answer to any contest, no problem. But you change the way that you are. If you choose the contest, the industry I want to, this is the market I want to. So we want them to say, okay, my first market will be this automotive market, so I'm gonna pick this kind of people and answer to this kind of contest. But I do 1 or 2 times a year, that's it. I see so many things, so many companies in my area, they became specialists of answering to this kind of contest. But at the end of the day, they never go to market. It's a big
Their business model is
because we
going
spend time and we invest money on these people, and we don't want this money to entertain big corporate companies. My fear is this startup washing, trend. I don't like this.
So there are the negatives. There are the things to be careful of. There's a couple of good things, which is that
Definitely.
the corporates now are aware that they are losing the battle to the great technology, smart innovation, customer development, all the lean and agile startup from Eric Lee, lean startup pioneers have adopted that, and they've incorporated customer-informed development into everything they do, and the corporates are always going to be behind the curve in that. So that forces them to what began when we started working with corporates as a badging exercise. Can we put our logo on your programs? Then became, can we learn from your startups? Then can we get your startups in to help solve some of our problems? And now it becomes increasingly outsourced R&D, outsourced innovation for big corporates, where the startups are co-developing and co-benefiting, dually benefiting from that. So that's a positive for the entrepreneurs if they select right, as you were saying. The other positive is, as an investor, the corporate buys my startup and then kills its culture. It's a shame, but I'm out. We sold the business to Skyscanner in November last year. Skyscanner's a UK-based unicorn, and they bought our little startup for within 2.5 years, so not 7 years, but we knew we were lucky. They bought it within 2.5 years of incorporation for £24 million. They switched its brand off and incorporated its software into their business. I don't mind. We're up.
That's
We
good.
invested at 2 million valuation.
That way is
More of
good.
those, yeah.
That way is good. But sometimes you have corporate companies that are working with startups, and the POC length is 12 months for 20K. Okay.
Yeah, they're not all good, but there is
Yeah,
some.
okay. So, and it's the majority, because I see many corporate every year. So some of them are doing great job because they understood that they have to outsource this R&D to startup, and they have the budget to do it, and they are keen to exit. And they are keen to buy the company. It's good, it's fair. But for those who only externalize or outsource their R&D and pay few amounts and never buy any solutions at the end, it's not good. This is my only point. But I do agree with you. If they want to buy, they buy. For example, last year we had like seven startups bought by big corporate companies in less than 1.5 years. It was great. So it's interesting. Be aware of advising this young company how to deal with these big corporate companies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big education that we have to do.
A question for Steve.
You can
What about
question to me.
Taiwanese corporates?
Uh-huh.
What is their with the behavior with the
Behavior?
local startup?
Actually, I'm running an accelerator program for Advantech. That's a leading industrial computer company, and who is looking for IoT-related startups. It worked out very well that because they're huge, they're giant. They have customers, they have channel. For many types of startups, for IoT-related, they need to find a test film, and they also need a channel. As a startup, it's good to be a startup when it comes to the startup ecosystem. We all recognize they're hardworking, but when it comes to the real market liabilities, the capital, they need to prove that they can sustainability to provide the product continuously. Then these companies need some big corporation to sponsor or host them. They can provide the service or products. So these companies are if the IoT related business, and it comes to the smart city and Advantech investment. Advantech, they have a platform they can form through the startups. Those are two ways. So in Taiwan, there's several large corporations really and not only Taiwanese company but also the United States company. Corning have a future innovator program in Taiwan and encourage Taiwanese company startups to use fiber, ceramic, and glass to develop their products. So based on Corning's technology materials, they actually Corning get a lot of innovative ideas from those startups and join their big ecosystem, the large corporation ecosystem. That's what the Taiwan large corporation is not doing. Okay.
I wanted to ask a question to you.
Now we ask you a question.
And I think we bring things to the room. But have you heard about the field living initiative? Field living initiatives. The founder of Evernote, who is launching All Turtle. All Turtle, yeah. And the idea is to get rid of startups. It's interesting. Say, okay, if there's any corporate problem or pain, if we have the talents to solve this problem, so let's go directly and avoid the startup, the startup phase. We go directly. So I don't know if I've heard about it, but it's like, okay, we get rid of startup now. We don't need any more startup. We take the talent directly to the problem. And how is it for you something that Silicon Valley will adopt, or is it something that you feel in Silicon Valley or not?
That model. But how do they envision that would work to bypass the startup stage?
I think they avoid the team to set up a company.
So
and
it's
whatever.
support, it's support, so it's creating this old turtle, initiative, and you say, okay, now we identify a pain coming from the ground, and we detect talents coming from the ecosystem, and between the two, we skip the startup creation, and we go directly. So we finance the people that are addressing and the community, and then we solve problem directly.
Well, that seems like just.
That's called employment.
It's called employment, yeah, and that's just like essentially trying to bypass this search and validate stage and just assume that you understand the problem so well that you just go ahead and build the product. That's typical corporate innovation stage gate model that very rarely works. Great, you put $1 million, $5 million, $10 million to work, and because you think you understand the problem, and then you sit and you build the product, you come out a year later, look what we built, this amazing thing, now come buy it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it, right?
But actually, they think about creating a startup afterward.
Yeah,
as you release the thing.
Well, I've seen a lot of corporate innovation programs that try to do that, and then they allocate a lot of funds, and they give the team just here's all the funding you need. That's the worst thing you do for a startup. Like one of the most dangerous things, and that happens in Silicon Valley a lot because there's so much capital available, is that a startup team gets too much money too quickly.
Yeah.
And then
That's too easy.
And they are not aggressive. And they are not aggressive anymore.
Yeah, they fool themselves to believing that they have product market fit way before they have product market fit. And then they start building the product, they launch it, polish it, and they launch this super extravagant product full of features that no one wants to use. And then they die.
Exactly.
Right? So it's very healthy to bootstrap for a long time.
Okay, obviously,
I'm
we
not
need
sure.
more time.
It's the case in France. They bootstrap for a long time.
Okay, due to the time constraints, we need to wrap up today's panel discussion.
Thank you so much.
I want to all of you, every one of you.
Questions from the...
Any questions? We can open up for questions from the audience.
People are dead after 5 hours without a break. Thanks for staying with us here, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to give you, every one of you, the 30 seconds, give it a remark, closing remark to all the audience and Taiwan startups or accelerators. How about you? Yeah, you first. You go first.
Oh, thank you. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so you can do it. You can absolutely do it. I walked you through earlier how the UK has grown from nowhere to being #1 at this in Europe. No offense. We've got our French cousins hot on our heels. But it's completely possible, and you've got a lot of the components, you've got a lot of the building blocks, the ingredients that you need, and I think that's just about confidence and collaboration. Joining these things up and being confident you can make this a success, and it's in your ability, your power to do that. So good luck.
But only if you are able to create a culture of extreme and rapid experimentation, right? Embracing this idea of failure. Failing faster is failing cheaper, right? So try to also create a culture where it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fail. I know it sounds like such a cliche, but I know it's not the case in most places around the world, that you are stamped as a failure if you make a mistake. It is much better to fail fast. And that's one of the advantages of an accelerated program. Maybe sometimes you get to a product market fit, and now you can scale up the company. But in many other cases, you basically are much faster to realize that you're building a shitty product that no one wants.
Yeah.
And great, now you can move on to spending your time doing something else that might actually create value. Right? But many of these incubators end up in this, you get a little bit of money here, you just keep going, working on this useless product that no one wants, and just drag it out.
Right.
Much better to fail fast and realize
yeah.
if you're not working on anything.
Face the reality.
So rapid experimentation, failing is okay as long as you learn from it, and do it fast.
Yeah, we talk a lot about startups, ecosystem, failure, success, capital. It's about business making money, okay, but the first thing we discussed at the beginning is about people and addressing social issue. It's more and more about that. And there is a new motto in France, which is tech for good. So technology can really tackle a lot of issues we have now in the modern world, or we have for a long time in many places that we never really addressed. So I think when you see some startup which really very obsessed with tackling one of those issues to help more favorized to tackle pollution or etc. etc. I think this is the one corporate, investor, government need to help first, because it's becoming urgent to tackle some huge issue we have, and we're going right into the wall if we don't help the one who will help us and our children in the future.
Thank you.
According to me, you did it already, because I remember how strong Made in Taiwan was. So you just have to be proud of being Taiwanese and build and write a new story which will be Made in Taiwan too. Because you did it already. Now you just have to invent the path to do a Made in Taiwan second episode. Second episode. So I think you're able to do it. You know, just have to be confident, like they said before, and go and do it. Because you know, we should stop talking. Even for us in France, we should stop talking. Now we have to do. Well, we were talking during a long time. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna blah blah blah. Okay, but a lot of people are doing it already. We should go. We should stand up, walk, and do it.
Okay, be yourself, be confident,
Yeah.
and just do it.
Be proud to be Taiwanese. You know, you're Taiwanese. You're nothing else. So invest in people. Invest in
We can
people.
only be ourselves.
Not just made in Taiwan, also invented in Taiwan.
Invented in Taiwan. Yeah. It was made in Taiwan, and you did it. Now you have to invent it in Taiwan.
And cooperated with all of us. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get applause to all the panelists.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the very wonderful moderation and all the speakers on the stage. Thank you very much. Yeah, the world belongs to the doer, not the talker, right? Okay. Well, you have been a very nice crowd. Thank you for joining us this afternoon without leaving. So appreciate on behalf of the host on the DTA. Thank you very much for the afternoon session. In the 2 days, tomorrow morning and afternoon, still have several tracks going on. So welcome back. Thank you very much for today. Thank you.